From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gerry Kissel.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Minefield. That's Keith over there.
Hey, and that is definitely Gerry, our all-star.
And it seems we were going to record a different episode today, but Keith has a one-track mind. And when I see that he's on a one-track mind, it's time for a different episode. So we're going to talk about Star Trek. I mean, it's such a nerdy subject. I think it's okay for us to talk about Star Trek, isn't it?
It is definitely okay.
And, Keith is of a certain mind that I think you will find interesting. So let it out, Keith. Let all these things flow from you like the Force, except this is Star Trek.
Well, in case you haven't been paying attention, it was announced that there is now a new version of CBS All Access. CBS All Access is basically going to be renamed Paramount Plus. Okay? And with the story that came out last week about Emma Watts, the former Fox employee who now heads up Paramount Film, she came out with a statement talking about the state of Star Trek. And basically that it's time that Star Trek be brought back into the fold and reinvented. Hard to do when you have a contract connected to the current people involved with Secret Hideout and CBS's Star Trek. At this point, I think it's pretty safe to say that Les Moonves's contract, as Gerry had put so eloquently before, which was a poison pill to all of this stuff in allowing Star Trek to be basically held hostage by one person. That definitely needs to change. And I can't name any person that's ever been made a part of something like this that is an employee of a major corporation that cannot be fired. That makes no logical sense. I mean, have you ever heard of anyone like that, Gerry? I mean, just basically the way it's working out is that you essentially have an employee that has full control over one of your biggest properties that, for all intents and purposes, cannot be fired. And I think what should happen is that you should allow, or I should say, what Viacom and Shari Redstone should do is take control of the situation by doing what her dad did originally when he took Star Trek away from Paramount and gave it to CBS. I think what she should do is that she should take Paramount away from CBS and just keep it as a part of Viacom. Hold it right there in the center and make it something available to this whole new service that they now have, which would allow them to either have a Star Trek series on CBS or Showtime, heck, even MTV if necessary, but also allow them to make Star Trek movies, which is where the new head of Star Trek, where the new head of Paramount Film, she would like a shot at doing this, but she can't because she has to go through Alex Kurtzman. Kurtzman's contract is unreal, and there's I think I have an idea of how to proceed on that one too, which would be contact Les Moonves, the former CEO who brought in Alex Kurtzman and Secret Hideout and gave them that really beyond generous, unreal contract, and just say, hey, you know what? You wrote this contract, so here's what we're going to do. Since you wrote a contract making it next to impossible for us to fire him, the consequences of that contract, as far as money or anything else, will be coming out of Mr. Moonves's retirement plan from CBS. His golden parachute, all that. Because he wrote it, he should live with it.
That's right.
And so that way, if and when they decide to fire Kurtzman, Mr. Moonves will be helping to fund Alex Kurtzman's retirement money. Makes sense. But basically, Star Trek at this point is next to unusable by anyone else. Nobody else can contribute. Nobody else can do anything. And you can't run a company like that where you are not allowed to actually use something that, up to this point, National Amusements, which is the company that Shari Redstone's family runs, and which is the company that is the actual controller of all things Viacom and CBS, her hands have been tied to this point. And so, yeah, this is getting out of control, basically. Star Trek has been losing money, and Kurtzman has no deals for any movies up to this point. He just keeps, the way his contract is structured, he can continue to pick shows and ideas for as long as CBS decides to give him money. And for some reason, they keep giving him money to at least, well, he keeps getting by making what he's making. But this is you've just given him a near lifetime job to just basically sit on his ass and just do next to nothing.
Yeah, well, there you have it. He's a contracted employee that seems to have almost omnipotent power.
Yeah. Yeah. And that shouldn't happen. Not within the context of working as an employee. I mean, he is still an employee. He does not own this, but his contract states that this is what he's doing. And this is unreal. And I just felt that there needs to be some sort of way that really Shari Redstone and National Amusements can move forward on this. And you have someone, in this case, Emma Watts, who now runs Paramount Film. Again, she was one of the people who actually truly believed in the idea of Deadpool, and was one of the people that was trying to get Deadpool made, and eventually she did. So if she has that kind of mentality to be able to take a chance on a really cool idea, think of what she could do if she were given access to Star Trek. But we're never going to find it out until we take care of Alex Kurtzman. So
the Alex Kurtzman problem.
For now.
Yep. Anything else to add to that, my friend?
Nope. Other than the fact that you now have one more major service to consider now that Paramount Plus is on the way, and given the combined services that are tied into this, at the very least, what you have is Paramount Pictures and Paramount Television, and everything in their vaults have now been added to what was once CBS All Access. And from what I'm hearing, they're going to be adding in everything else. So anything that you saw on Showtime or anything like that, it's what you and I over a year ago were saying should have happened with Paramount anyway. And I think it was you or I that said it, jokingly, that it should have been kind of their own Paramount Plus. And that's the name they chose. So
we said that a long time ago. It had to do with when we were talking about HBO Max. Mm-hmm. And I was making fun of the choice that Warner Brothers picked for their entire archive to be put on a streaming service to be called HBO Max. Not Warner, not the Warner Archives, HBO Max, because everybody associates HBO with Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. We hear HBO, we immediately think Warner Brothers. Said no fucking person ever. All right, folks. That's that's Patrick Stewart.
And that, my friends, is Mr.
Leonard
Jonathan
Nimoy.
Frakes.
Oh,
Leonard Nimoy.
Nimoy. All right, folks. Keith and Gerry are out. Get the hell out of here. Get off our lawns.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Remember, you can find us at Pop Culture Minefield on both Facebook and Instagram. Thank you again.
Y'all come back now.